that I brought this guy up who he was mentally challenged or something. There was something going on, but he could not.
It's coming back to me now. It's coming back to me now.
And it was hysterical. And the thing you said to me was, John, you lead a charmed life. And you know what? Like, so I say at the end of my book, I go, and Dee was exactly right, because like I've got to do everything that I've ever set out to do. It's just, from going to work with Howard to getting a couple of record deals to becoming the announcer on the Tonight Show, now a headlining comic. It's like, and then now, I don't know if you heard, I prank called Donald Trump from Air Force One.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't.
Yes. Yes. Jared Kushner and Donald Trump called me from Air Force One, D. It was like, it was global news. Like, it was all over the place. And like, Politico was like White House is scrambling to figure out how this comedian got through to the president. It was like awesome. I had the Secret Service banging on my door.
Oh, damn. Well, you know what? I mean, and this is in fairness to you. I said that you lead a charmed life, but at the same time, you were bold, and this is a compliment.
Yeah.
You were bold enough to take an opportunity and go for it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I never get the chance. I never get the chance." We all get chances.
Yeah.
It's what do you do with those chances? And, and Howard sent you out there on the street that day, and, whatever instincts led you to grab the mentally challenged guy, whatever that was, it took balls to go out there and do that, man. That was your job, was having balls.
Yeah, no, and I certainly still do. I'm still doing it, D. I'm still, I'm still busting balls, and I'm still going out there doing interviews.
Oh, good for you, man.
So, but let me talk about you, because now you grew up in Long Island just like me, and I remember when I was, because I guess you must be, I don't, like a few years older than me, because I remember.
Yeah, me and Howard are a year apart. Howard's 1 year older than I am. I'm 64.
Oh, okay, because, so when you guys and Zebra and the Good Rats, or was it Rat Race Choir? You guys like played.
That's another one.
Yeah, you guys played all over, and I'll never forget, it was Hammerheads and, and all those places. And, everybody came to see Twisted Sister, and everybody came, and, a lot of people would also go to see Zebra. And, tell me a little bit about that, because I have to tell you, I'm friends with the guys in Zebra, and
me too.
Yeah. And I also watched the Twisted Sister documentary, and I thought it was awesome. It was a great documentary.
Well, that gives you real. I mean, that documentary has really changed a lot of people's perception of our band, because, if you're from the Northeast, from Long Island or whatever, you're aware that there was this local phenomenon, Twisted Sister, and packing them in, but the rest of the world had no idea. So when we showed up in '84 with the videos and everything, it was like all of a sudden like overnight sensation, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So now people are seeing that documentary and going, "Holy crap, these guys were like, Rocky." They like would not give up. They just kept going and going. But, John, and you know this, and you talk to younger people, and they can't even imagine it. It was a scene that existed and will probably never exist again, because it was the 18. You could drink at 18, and there was no photo ID. So look, I'm with Suzette. I'm still with Suzette, by the way. I met her. She was 15 years old, a hot Italian 15-year-old.
Yeah.
With her cousin's proof. So you had and that is like such that 14 to 18, 19, that is such a rock age.
Yes.
That's an age where you sort of live into rock. And so the clubs were packed with thousands of kids every night just out there. And then once they reached the drinking age 21, the scene died completely. So, we survived there for 10 years, and we just kept fighting, but we were able to because we're paying the bills playing, AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne songs at night,
Yeah, and just to give you an example of what a travesty the drinking age changed. When I turned 18, I didn't have to use the fake ID, and I turned 18, and then 2 months later they changed it to 19. And then when it became 19, when I turned 19, a couple months later they changed it to 21. It was like, it was like I'm legal and now I'm not legal.
Dude, like that's so funny, man. You're just chasing the drinking age. Holy crap! I didn't even think about that for people like you. That's kind of funny. But yeah, somehow I doubt it stopped you.
No, it didn't. It didn't stop me. But I gotta tell you, I'm gonna kiss your asshole, D. Like we were into Twisted Sister, like even in your, like your earlier albums, like not the Stay Hungry album, like the albums that gave us what you don't know and
Under the Blade, you can't stop rock and roll.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
shoot them down.
Yeah. Well, that first album for the tri-state area, Jersey, New York, Long Island, that was the payoff. When I really felt this in a big way when we crossed over and became everybody's band. I think there was a sense of like something had been taken away from the people who've been following us for years. You know what I mean? Like we'd moved on and now we were everybody else's band. And I think a lot of people feel like that, at some point with a band that they followed in the early days. I did with AC/DC and Queen. I was following those bands when nobody was following them, and all of a sudden everybody in the world's listening to them. And I'm sure, and you see with Metallica, I have a band that deserves everything they've got. I toured with those guys. I know those guys. They went up against all odds, did it their way, fought the fight. They broke through. They changed the world. And the original fans like, sellouts. I'm like, sellouts. We were like screaming the name from the mountaintop. Anybody would listen, Metallica. And now people realize it, and you're not, and they're sellouts. You know what I mean? So it's just what happens.
Yeah, no, not yet. I know it is kind of crazy, and then with you guys, because when Stay Hungry came out, then you were, you were a national sensation, and I'll never forget, because you used Doug Niedermeyer in your video.
Mark Metcalf, yes.
and it was so cool because I'm such an Animal House fan, and it was awesome. I mean, he was in like both, he was in, We're Not Gonna Take
Dude.
It. And we're gonna rock, whatever. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. Me and my brothers were Animal House junkies.
Yeah.
My one brother who had literally had an Animal House, and in the bathroom, two of my brothers lived there. They you would just write lines from Animal House on the walls in the bathroom, so they were covered with dialogue. So people would be on the shitter and writing, you're worthless and weak, it's just right on the wall. So I mean, basically,
do you use
when
mind
we did
if
the
we
videos,
did?
I was just looking for new Animal House lines. So I had the idea to get a Mark Metcalf into the video to play the father, and I'll admit, dude, I could not have been more excited. I thought I was meeting like one of the biggest stars in the world. This guy was nothing.
I know, but it's just so cool, D. It just shows that we grew up in I don't know, because it's the same kind of thing. Like Animal House is I still have an Animal House framed poster in my house now. It's right when you walk in, there it is. It's one of my, it's an iconic movie.
Okay, let me ask you, I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
And I do radio, so now I'm flipping the script on you now.
All right, go ahead.
I'll ask you a question. Is there a contemporary movie that you would say is like today's Animal House?
Wow, that is
or that speaks to you the way Animal House did. You go, this is a funny movie, from a newer funny movie that I love on that level. Is there anything?
Let's see. I mean, I liked Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but it's not the Animal House movie. Well, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I would say Superbad.
Superbad, true.
I say Superbad is not the same movie. It's a whole different genre, but it's got that same sort of all of that. And for me, just as a movie that's funny top to bottom and makes me laugh on every level, Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
That movie is just so amazing. All the characters, all the lines, you can just quote it for days. But because every generation's got its movies. So my kids, it's Superbad, I think, is the one for the 20-somethings.
How about Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Well, Fast Times goes more back to our era, though, again. And that's
Yeah, it
definitely,
does. It does.
You put that, you go Animal House, Fast Times, it's definitely on the list for us.
I guess The Hangover would be one.
Yeah, Hangover.
Yeah.
You know what? Hangover would be very contemporary for the new, and I watched that, and that's just like, it's killer. But, but a lot of people, like younger people, and we have to deal with that now.
I know.
They don't really get Animal House the way we do.
No, I know. It was, I saw Animal House in the movie theater, D. I don't know about you.
You and me both. And I'll tell you. I would tell you something. This is, and this is like, you met Suzette, and she worked on the original Stern show. She did. Remember, she did hair and makeup and costumes for them, and back then, clothes for them.
Who?
And
Who?
So we've been together forever. But that was like was one of those moments. Like, are you married now, John?
I was. I'm married and now divorced.
Okay. Let's say when you were discovering the woman you fell in love with for a while.
Yes.
There's like first you see her, you go, oh damn, that's step one.
Yeah.
Then you talk to her and you go, oh, she's kind of cool, Suzette and I went to see Animal House in the theater. So what is that, like 77?
Yeah.
76? I mean, we just started dating. And that scene where they go to the Dexter Lake Club, where it's the black club.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Do you mind if we dance with Joe Dix?
Shamalama Ding Dong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody in the theater is dying. and Suzette looks at me and she goes, why is everybody laughing? And I go, because they're the only white people in the club. And she goes, oh, I didn't notice. And I remember looking at her going, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
That's pretty cool that she just saw, she didn't get it because she didn't notice there was white and black, there was the colors there. I just remember she said, oh, I didn't notice.
But even Otis gives them a dirty look when they walk in.
How do you not notice? Mind if we dance with your date?
Yeah, there's the famous line. Do you mind if we dance with Joe's dates?
Here's the more famous line, the Negroes stole our date. Stephen First comes running out of the club. The Negroes stole our date.
Dude, I was just going over another great line that I love. And it's so funny that we're talking about this because yesterday at the pub, we had to Google the exact line what it was, but when Fred Dorf, I'm stuttering, D, when a flounder,
Kent
Dorfman shows up and then, and he goes, well, I should be able to get in because, I'm a legacy. And then they go, yeah, unless, he goes, because my brother was in here, and then they go, well, yeah, unless you're a real loser like Fred, they talk about his brother. I can't remember the line.
I'll give you a Fred Dorfman moment. So he was flounder with Kent Dorfman.
Yeah.
And the legacy was his brother Fred, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Suzette and I go to a real estate agent, and we sit down to talk to him, and I look at his nameplate on the desk. His name is Fred Dorfman. And the whole conversation, I am slowly stealing all of his business cards. So I can give them to my friend.
Oh.
Fred Dorfman.
And I got to tell you, man, I know this sounds crazy, but I had the hots for Mrs. Dean Wormer.
How can you not?
I know.
That's the original cougar. She's the OG cougar right there.
I know. And when she gets in, into her lingerie and then Otter puts her on the bed. Oh, it was just fucking awesome, man. And by the way, the girl that Otter was with in the car, and she shows her breast, which was great for like a 16-year-old and everything. She was. Oh yeah. She was really hot. The girl that Fawn's friend, who they pretend that he was Fawn.
Yeah. Oh, Frank wasn't so bad. Ew.
Yeah. Fawn Leibowitz.
I had a great. I do convention appearances, signing sessions and stuff.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Twisted Sisters. Actually, we retired in 2016, but we're reuniting for the 35th anniversary. Not playing, it's signing and photos down in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
At Scarefest, I think it's called, down there. But look online at twistedsister.com if you want to find out where we're going to be. But it's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of November down in Tampa. So if you're down, people listening. But anyway, I would do some of those conventions, and sometimes they reunite cast members, like entire cast, and they reunited like a lot of the Animal House people. So Otter was the ones who were alive. Yeah. I mean, we've lost, Belushi and Flounder, and we lost Stephen First, but Niedermeyer was there, Otter was there, Karen Allen was there, a lot of the group, Mandy was there, a lot of the cast members there. So I got a chance to get a picture with all those people. I was over the moon, man. Love that.
Mandy was so hot, man. I mean, like when she does that scene where Belushi's at the window and Belushi, he breaks the third wall and looks at the camera when she's like playing with herself. She was a piece of ass, man.
Yeah, it's toughest on on female actresses, I think. When you meet a lot of them at these conventions, and it's tough to keep it together for 40 years later.
Well, I gotta commend you because like I didn't know this, and you still don't drink, correct?
Yeah, no alcohol, no booze.
Never.
I've always, never. No, it's not like people think, oh, you're like recovered, or you're clean and sober. I'm like, no, I was never dirty and drunk.
Yeah.
But it made me, it was like one of those things that really made me an outcast back in the early days. When people started it's just like this weird rock guy who wasn't getting high, and but there's Angus is like that, Gene Simmons is like that, Ted Nugent is like that.
Yep.
So there's some of us out there, and it's the thing I think that's helped me with longevity, because I've been able to do other things because my brain cells were intact,
Yeah, but how about weed? Did you ever smoke weed or no?
Tried it, and made me really paranoid.
Yeah. I know.
The whole time I was like, when is this going to stop? And same thing, I got drunk at 14, and it was like laying on the ground vomiting. I was like, oh, please, God.
Dee, I have to ask you, now you've had a lot of great songs. Tell me what's your favorite one to perform live and why?
My favorite one to perform live is, people would think, it's We're Not Gonna Take It, I Want to Rock. And, when you've got a couple songs like that, which, light up every audience in the world, which is just pretty amazing, all these years later to see the response. But for me, it's from the second album, the title track, the song's called You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. And really, if I had to pick a song that defined Twisted Sister, it's that one, and the statement itself. We had been together at that point in our careers almost 10 years when I wrote that song, and it was a song of total, complete defiance. And so that's it. I just love it, playing it every time.
All right, and I do have to, people don't know, because I didn't know this either from watching the Twisted Sister documentary. I didn't know that, wasn't it that J.J. French, he was the one who was writing all the songs, and then you finally took a crack at it, and then suddenly became this, the head songwriter of the band?
Well, I joined the band, and they were playing J.J. French penned songs, and I hated them so much. And I was constantly saying, these songs suck. And the band just finally told me, they said, well, what have you written? And I said, nothing. And they said, well, until you write something better, shut the fuck up. And they were right. Who sits there just saying everything sucks, So I literally went into my bedroom and started writing songs, and I never stopped. And eventually the band just sort of threw their hands up and said, okay, this guy's got better ideas than we do. Let's go with his songs.
But tell me about, We're Not Gonna Take It. Was that, you just come up with that whole thing, like in your sleep, or was it something that you were working on? Just tell me, take me through that.
I'll tell you what, that song took first of all, I always write from song titles. So I would just keep a list of, phrases, I want to rock, we're not going to take it, you can't stop rock and roll, whatever, I'd have a list of song titles. And then the song titles would inspire to me, what I wanted the song to be like, the kind of song, a song like Burn in Hell, I knew it had to be incredibly heavy and dark and evil, and, and We're Not Gonna Take It, I knew I wanted to write an anthem, I wanted to write a sing-along kind of song. And in 1980, I was doing some writing, and I wrote the chorus for "We're Not Gonna Take It," but I couldn't figure out the rest of the song. And I sat on that song for 3 years.
Wow.
Kept coming back, I kept going, oh man, this is a really good hook, but I don't. You can't just have a song that's a hook. So about 3 years later, I finally figured out the verse, the rest of the song, the verse and the B verse, and put it all together and presented it to the band, and it wound up becoming our biggest song, one of the biggest songs in history. Really, it's a pretty legendary song.
Oh, you ain't kidding. I would be at Yankee Stadium, and they would play like that to get people like all going. You know.
Well, it is. It really. This is not ego here. This is actually surprise, because I'm just this dorky kid from Baldwin, Long Island. But it's transcended the genre. It's transcended the era. It's almost like a folk song. Like everybody knows the song.
Yeah.
They may not even know who wrote it or sang it at this point.
Yeah.
But you go. I go all over the world, and everybody knows We're Not Going to Take It. And if I go, what band are you in? And the younger kids, I go, Twisted Sister. And I go, I don't know who's that. And I go, We're Not Going. Oh, you wrote that song? So it's my calling card.
That's got to be a hell of an accomplishment. Like, I never had that luxury to write a hit song. I mean, I wrote like a quarter of a hit, but I've never had a hit song. I mean, that's got to be a hell of an accomplishment. I mean,
look, my manager said, my manager Phil Carson, he always says, if you're only going to have two hits, make them doozies. And We're Not Going to Take It, I Want to Rock are just like, there are other bands that have a lot more hit songs, but those two songs are just so identifiable and so recognizable and so freaking sellable too. So it's dream come true. And you don't. Of course, you want to write a hit song, but I never thought Twisted Sister was going to be a band that had hit songs.
Yeah.
I think because I thought we were just too weird, and just too weird at the time. And because you remember, but people, when you watch the documentary, realize when Twisted started, we were coming out. We formed after the end of the early '70s glam rock thing with Alice Cooper and Bowie.
Yeah.
So Kiss had taken off their makeup. So I mean, there was no Motley Crue, there was no Rat, there was no Poison.
Yeah.
There was none of these other bands. I was just looking. Because I'm doing screenplay writing now, and I'm directing my first feature film actually next year. And it's set and I'm looking at the metal albums that came out in '82, because that's the year the movie's set in. And there's no Metallica. I'm not saying we created Metallica. There's no Slayer. There's no Motley Crue. There's no, Twisted. There are other metal bands there like Priest and AC/DC.
Yeah.
But we're just one weird band with the face full of makeup on. So I didn't think we'd be a success, quite honestly. I just thought we'd be a touring band and we'd make money out on the road.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have had an incredible amount of success. But so you're in radio now?
I've been doing radio since 1997.
Yeah.
No. I got it, 94, 95. I actually started doing a metal show on Long Island on WRCN. That's where I started.
Yeah, I remember RCN.
And mad dope props to Howard. Because, Howard really was the first person, in any kind of, with any kind of influence, who recognized that I had more going on than just Twisted Sister and a couple of songs.
Yeah.
He encouraged me to go into radio. He encouraged me to go into voiceover. He championed me as a screenplay writer. He would take meetings. He would take meetings with agents and radio stations. I mean, it was unbelievable. He was such an incredible friend. It saddens me that our lives have gone in different directions, very different directions over the last decades. But there was a time when, he changed my life and helped me find those other paths. And radio was something he brought me to, got me my agent at Buckwald. David Katz, not there anymore, but he's still my agent. But he was at Buckwald, and I started doing radio in, I think, maybe 93, 94. Then I started the House of Hair, nationally syndicated show in 1996. 1987, and I'm 22 years. The House of Hair is on over 250 stations, some in other countries now. I mean, we've been doing the House of Hair. So I've been doing radio for a long time.
Yeah, well, no, this is what I had to, and look, I'm not, but wasn't there, because I know that there was something happened with you going up on the morning, I guess in Connecticut, was it?
Yeah. I mean, look,
What happened?
We can't not talk about Howard if you and I are on the phone.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, with both of our history there. Yeah, very strange, because you weren't on the air when we patched it up, when it was over at Sirius. But when, Howard literally, like I said, got me an agent for radio, literally would talk to other radio stations about hiring me. He was so incredible. And I got offered a gig. And I was already, I was doing my metal show. House of Hair was launched. And I got a call to do mornings in Hartford, Connecticut.
Yes.
And Howard was on in Hartford.
Yeah.
And I was stunned. Mornings. This was like, and I was going up against Howard. So I pick up the phone immediately and I call Howard up and I go, dude, I got offered a show. He goes, great, man. What is it? I said, they offered me mornings in Hartford. And I said, I don't want to take a job because Dee, you got to do what you got to do. You got to work.
Yeah.
And I said, are you sure? He says, yeah. I said, listen, I wouldn't have a radio career if it wasn't for you. I want to give you 10%.
Yeah.
I want to give you an agent's commission on my salary. This is what I offered him.
Yeah.
10%. And he said, no, you don't have to do that. So I went and I started doing mornings. And the first thing I get on in the mornings, I'm listen, I am a Howard Stern fan. I said this I said on the air my first day.
Yeah.
I go, everything I learned about morning radio, I learned from being on the Stern show. I said, I don't expect Stern listeners to listen to me. I said, I'm going to try and find my audience here. And Howard had a 30 share in the marketplace.
Yeah.
30. Within 2 years, I had a 12 share.
Wow.
And he had an 18.
Oh.
And I was, I still wasn't. He was still number one in the marketplace, but I had put a dent in his numbers.
Yeah.
And he had stopped returning my phone calls. We weren't, and I couldn't figure it wouldn't talk to me. But I didn't know exactly what. Because the last thing I left off with him, we were cool.
Yeah.
Well, years later, he finally on the air, which is the way he does things.
Yep.
He talks about the fact that he was mad at me for taking. And he went over to Sirius and he brought me over to talk about it. And on the air with Robin, you weren't with the show, I don't think at that point.
Yeah, I left.
Everybody in the room. I told the story, and Howard acknowledged everything I said was true. And Robin was like, so he asked your permission, and you said yes. He said, yeah. And he offered you 10%, and you said no. And he said no. And he said, so he didn't do anything wrong. He said, well, he should have known. And so anyway, it was really awkward, and our relationship never, even though we patched it up, it never really got back to being normal.
Wow.
He felt like even though I asked permission, I had his blessing, I should have known not to do that.
So when he told you that you have to make a living, in other words, he was just fucking bullshitting you because you should have known better.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it was just like Howard will. It's unfortunate because he's a great guy. People like me say, "What's Howard like?" And I don't know if you, John, got to experience because he was your boss.
No, I didn't.
But if you ever got to experience him like a friend, like I did, and I would say to people, he's exactly like he is on the air, off the air, but the world is half full, not half empty. Off the air, he'd be so positive, so upbeat, but he would always say that's not the real him. Like the honest him is on the air. Like,
that's what I always say.
Yeah, he would say off the off the air, but hey, what's going on? That's great, and everything was positive. But that when he went on the air, that was the true his true feelings.
Yes.
So he's tough to read. He's tough to read.
Oh, look at the shit he gave
and
me.
Unfortunately, and I love the guy so much. He did so much for me. I wish, do I wish I never took the show? No, I feel like I did the right things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel bad that I hurt him as a friend.
Yeah, and then so like now you don't even bother calling him anymore, or there's just no love there anymore.
Yeah, we had a second falling out. They tried to. It was funny when my son Jesse was with me, and you remember from back in the early days of the show, I would be on tons, right?
Yeah.
I would like ride it. Howard and I lived near each other.
Yeah.
I'd go to his house, ride the limo in with him. He'd do transcendental meditation the whole time.
Yeah.
We'd do the show. I'd be there for the 5 hours, and then we'd ride back together to Long Island.
Yeah.
It was like, and I would do it when I was off the road. I'd do the show a lot,
Yeah.
So really, and it was just, and I was always invited to stay. Anytime I was on the show, Howard would say, hey, Dee, why don't you hang around and we're doing the news next.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we made up, Jesse came with me to Sirius XM, and I said, Jesse, the tell's going to be if he asks me to stay after my bit.
Yeah.
Hey, hang out for the news, and sure enough, we go through it, and it's, we patch it up, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Dee, it was great seeing you," blah blah blah, blah. And Gary shows me out.
Yeah.
And Jesse looks at me and he nods his head, and I said, "That's the tell, son. That's the tell." I said, "It's not really fixed. We patched. It's patched up publicly, but it's not what it was. We were really close. I mean, that was another thing too, that we were friends. Our families. We had kids the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
We were married. Suzette and Allison were friends. And any divorce, it always gets weird.
Uh-huh.
Howard became single guy, and I was still married guy. And Suzette was like, I remember one night we were out and we were hanging out with Howard and his girlfriend, was his girlfriend there.
Yeah, Beth.
And, what's her name? Beth.
Yeah.
Beth. And she was lovely. She was lovely.
Yeah.
But Suzette, we went home and Suzette said, I felt really weird. I felt like I was cheating on Allison. Because when you're friends as a couple, we really were friends. But that's life. Life changes.
But let me ask you, because you didn't touch on what caused the second falling out.
Second falling out was God, this is bizarre. So again, Howard doesn't. Howard starts. He communicates on the air, and he starts talking about that he's feeling bad about something, and Robin's like, "What?" And he goes, "Feeling bad. I didn't invite Dee and Suzette to our wedding." Okay. And Robin starts a conversation. Well, why didn't you? He goes, "Well, the list is kind of crazy and blah blah blah." And he goes, "But I really should invite him." And she said, "Why do you invite him now?" He says, "Well, this is all in the air."
Yeah.
Well, it's too late, and now it seems like an afterthought. And I knew Howard at this point. This is how he communicates.
Yeah.
He was sending me the messages
Yes.
because he knows my phone blew up. Howard's talking about, and so I was doing an interview. I didn't know that Chauncey was on the outs. I did not know that Chauncey was. I hadn't been on the show, and Chauncey, last time I was on, he was one of the pack,
Yeah.
And so I'm doing an interview with Chauncey, and in the conversation, and it was a rolling like this one, where I'm talking about what a great guy and how much he's there for me and how much I love him.
Yeah.
Exact same conversation.
Yeah.
Chauncey asked about not being invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
And I, and it really was stupidly. I shouldn't have said it. I'm going to say it again now because it's been said already. But I shouldn't have said it. I said, look, we didn't really know Beth that much. And I said, and the truth is, I said, Howard's hanging with people now that he wouldn't have given the time of day to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that blew up the internet. And I got an email from Howard, and that was the end of it.
What did the email say?
It just said that how fucked up that was for me to say that, never answered. I tried to call him. I tried to respond. I've apologized publicly. I'm apologizing again now because I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said it. Even it doesn't matter if it's true or it's false or whatever.
But it is. It is true.
I mean, look, it is true. I mean, and that's, I mean, it's the truth that we react to. I mean, like if I had said, because I'm going to go because Howard's gay, Howard would have laughed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not gay, and
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gay.
Yeah.
So he got mad. And look, we all grow, we change. Our lives change, things change. It was dick on my part to say it, but it was really. Like I said, it was part of like this long conversation like we're having now, and that was the one thing that was pulled out. It was like the headline.
Well, you know what?
Chauncey's articles. Chauncey used it as like as a knife, to stab Howard with.
But you know what? But you know what the constant is, Dee? I have to say this, and like, yes, just like you, I was in Howard's inner circle. I would hang out with Howard and Beth. That me and my wife on the weekends, we would go to his Hampton house. We'd go out to dinner. We would sleep at his place. I mean, like we were like good friends. And then I leave to do the Tonight Show, and then that's it. Like I'm dead. Do you know what I mean?
You cross the line. Yeah. You cross the line.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but hey, I mean, like I said, I will always love the guy because he championed me. And look, I've got a lot of things going on. I'm directing my first feature film. I told you, I've been writing screenplays. I'm writing an action. What?
If you need a good actor, Dee, hey, look, I don't know if you saw me in Dude, Where's My Car? I can kill it.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Man, you are in Hollywood now, aren't you?
Where's my pencil? I want to write it down so I remember it.
Are you going to give him 10%?
Like I said, radio now. I've been since '95. I've been on radio. I've done mornings, nights. I've been on Sirius XM for a while. I mean, so I've had a whole second career, voiceover. I became a six-figure voiceover guy. So I mean, and none of that. Because you understand, and it's again just I'm singing Howard's praises, the kind of friend he is. He was when the bottom fell out for Twisted Sister, and we went from being the hottest thing to the most uncool thing. And it happened.
Yeah.
It happened the way it happened to Quiet Riot,
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, 87, nobody wanted to know me.
It even happened to Bon Jovi,
Yeah, and he still stood by me.
Yeah.
And at that point, he like I said, he would take meetings, make phone calls.
Yeah.
On my behalf. So I mean, they're incredible friends. And like I said, and it kills me that I did something to whether you say, well, you really didn't do anything that bad. It doesn't matter. It hurt a friend who was loyal to me and was a great friend. And
yeah.
I've if you ever listen to this, Howard, of course you'll never hear this part. But
oh no,
sorry, brother.
Trust me, their whole staff listens to this show. I mean, we know that as a fact.
Yeah.
That Baba Booey listens to this on his ride home every single. I mean, Gary has to now because I don't know if you know this, but our numbers are going up each month, and I think part of the reason is because like I tell the truth, and look, I learn from the best. I learn from Howard.
Howard's phrase. I remember he was before he got his first tattoo. I was always be his like he'd consult me on things.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he called me up when he was thinking of going to see a shrink, and he said, "Dee," he said, "You saw a shrink," and I said, "Yes, I did." And he goes, "What was that like?" I said, "Listen, man," I said, "when I realized I needed to see a shrink, I said I went in. I said, listen, I'm not going to spend my whole life here on this couch. I'm going to come see you for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, as long as it takes until we get it done."
Yeah.
And for like 3 months, I went to a shrink every single day. Figured out it was my mother, and then I was, and then I was done.
You are a Jewish boy. I mean, that's.
and I
my
said,
co-host is Jewish.
He said, "Whoa!" I said, "Yeah, man. If you're gonna, I recommend it, just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Get it over with. He took his own path with it. But I remember he called me about tattoos, and even came with me to a tattoo. We went to a tattoo parlor. I think he was looking, but he wanted to get the phrase that means the world to him. It was, "The truth shall set you free."
Yeah.
That to him was like, and I said you should do it in Latin or something. Like we talked about. Like I don't think he ever got that tattoo, but he said that is his guiding light, the guiding words. The truth shall set you free.
Yeah.
And I learned that as well, and you've learned that as well.
Yeah.
He taught us that. He speaks truth,
Not so much anymore.
Anyway.
Not so much anymore. But I have to ask.
I hope he's happy. I'm sure he's happy. And you're happy. I'm happy. And Liz, with that, I got to say goodbye, man. Anything last we can do?
I just wanted to ask you, is it true that you're the one that helped Howard with his wardrobe and his look and his hair? I mean, because I always heard that it was you that got him. Like, because remember when he was on?
Dude,
go ahead.
Are you kidding? I literally gave him my clothes. Me and Suzette. I mean, because the first time I met him, and was. I kicked down, opened the door. He was on. Okay, this is the last story.
Yeah, okay.
For those who don't know it, it's kind of legendary. But it's 1980, Christmas '84, and I've just come off the road, and me, Suzette, and Jesse, my young son, we're going to New York City to Rockefeller Center to see the tree. Now, if you're a rock star in your heyday, the way you see the tree is your limo pulls up, and you roll the window down a crack, and you peer out with your sunglasses.
Yeah.
So Suzette and Jesse get out of the car. They go to look at the tree, and now this is back before 9/11, when you could literally pull up in front of 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sitting there, and I'm peering out the window at the tree, and my driver goes, "You know who Howard Stern is?" And this is true. I said, "No." Now, Howard was on 84. He was on K-Rock. I think he was on doing afternoons at that point.
Okay.
Still doing it. Just came back doing afternoons. And he said, he said, he's a DJ. He was talking about you today. I said, "Oh, yeah, what did he say?" He said, he was talking about how ugly you are. So I said, "Oh yeah, is that right?" She goes, "I don't really care." He says, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, he's going to be on Letterman tonight." I said, "What time is it?" I said, 5:00, and I knew that's when they film Letterman.
Yeah.
So I go, "Where's it?" I said, "Wait a minute." I look over. We're in front of 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Where they film Letterman.
Yeah.
So I go, "You know what? Let's give Howard Stern a taste of reality." So I go, now this is no security, so I go walking in the building. I'm Dee Snider, I'm like 7 feet tall with my platform shoes on and my big hair. So I go walking there. "Hey, Dee." Everybody's, "Hey, Dee." I just walk right up. I go up to this elevator. Everybody's, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Where's Howard Stern?" They go, "Oh, he's in the dressing room." I said, "All right." They point to the door. I said, "Great." I kick the door open. It flies open. Howard's standing there. Robin's in there. Fred's in there. Jackie's in there. I'm like, "You motherfucker! I'm going to kill you." I charge at him. I slam him against the wall. I'm like the Zuni fighting man. Remember Karen Black's the Trilogy of Terror, the Zuni fighting man? I'm charging him. And he's like, pulls back, terrified, and I just start laughing. And he goes, "You're not mad?" I said, "No, I'm not mad. Who gives a shit?" Who gives a shit? So we just started talking, and we immediately hit it off. He was from Roosevelt. I was from Baldwin.
Yeah.
We actually knew the same people. We hung out in the same park as kids.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and I look at him, and he's wearing like corduroy pants, a baggy T-shirt. He's got a little mustache, clear glasses, and that little afro.
Yeah.
And I said, "Dude, why do you look like that?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "You're on the radio. You don't have to, nobody sees you. You look like an accountant." He goes, "Well, how should I look?" And he said, "Well, like this." So anyway, we became really good friends, and Suzette would literally take him out shopping, and and buy his clothes and his jewelry and cut his hair, and eventually looked like a brunette Dee Snider for a while with the sunglasses on and all that stuff. And so we got to the point where people say, you look like Howard Stern. I go,
but Dee, hasn't he denied that you helped him? Like, because that's why I had to ask you, because I think somewhere along the way he said that Dee didn't help me with my look, you know. Well,
he can't do it good, because if you go on to one of his Channel 5, Channel 11, that show, I came on for, what was the one that was actually, because he had one show that wasn't aired, I don't think, or it was aired, then he had another show on TV.
The Channel 9 show.
You were probably on. What was that?
I was on the Channel 9 show.
Channel 9 show,
yeah.
Right? And I was on there,
yeah.
And on the show, he said, Dee, he says right on the show, he says, so, you helped me get this look and stuff. What am I? Am I like a biker? Am I a pirate? he made this whole thing about, like, what exactly, you've helped me, like, get this look, but what am I? So he has, there are recordings of him admitting
yes,
it.
Yes, he has acknowledged
history, whatever. Whether he's changed it with revisionist history.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I said, he gave back enough to me.
Yeah.
If I gave him a T-shirt or a pair of skinny jeans, that's no big deal.
Well, Dee, listen, man.
All right, brother, I gotta go.
I know.
Good talking to you.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. And what's the name of your movie? So so we could all go out and see.
Oh,
it.
I can't announce that yet, but
okay.
It's I did a movie called Strangeland in the '90s, which was the first. It was the first horror film rated R for scenes of torture.
Yeah.
And it started a whole new. I mean, I remember the MPAA lost their shit when they watched the movie, because nobody had done a scary movie where nobody died.
Yeah.
Where people were just being hurt.
Yeah.
And suffering, and it really did beget. It was the first torture film, and it begat a whole new genre with Saw and Hostel and all those movies.
Yeah.
So people always said, when are you going to do another horror movie? And I said, when I have an idea that's original and fresh and a game changer. I just don't want to make a repeat.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it right now, but I've got a deal. A feature film on a new script I've written, and they've asked me to direct it, so I'm really excited. It's going to be my directorial debut, even though I've been very involved in producing and things like that. So you start filming that in March, April of next year. So I can't tell you anything more than that right now.
All right.
But
listen.
we'll talk when it's getting when things are more real and I start doing it.
Please, Dee, we'd love to have you on anytime. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, pal.
And I'm sorry it was so difficult to get me on the show, John. I know you were trying, but I was on the road. I was traveling, and then, we got East Coast, West Coast, and all that crap. So
I know.
All right, man.
All right, thanks so much, man. I love you, pal.
All right. Bye-bye.